shipping container home on Homestead DIY. We are back for more live progress on this journey. So today I got to do some welding, a little bit of steel cutting and a little bit of welding. Let me show you. So if you look over here, I got these long, get this out of the way. We got these long 20-foot pieces of steel. Long 20-foot strips. We got 3 of them. They're 1 inch wide by 1/8 of an inch thick. Nice. So what I'm doing today is we're going to be doing some welding, and we're going to be laying these strips of steel. We're going to be laying these strips of steel over these gaps between the containers. So wherever the two containers meet, as you can see, that's where they meet. We cut the walls out. Wherever they meet, there's a gap. There's a gap. So we're going to be laying this 1 inch by 1/8 of an inch thick strip steel over the entire length of these gaps. Now, as you look over here, here's the front door of the container. We have another exposed gap between containers. Should be pretty easy to see that. And it runs all this length here. We have another one over here. Runs all this length. And we have another one over here. So I have to go in, because this is going to be the actual floor of the shipping container. And so because of that, you can't have giant gaps. You can't just, I'm just going to walk over a giant gap, right? Pretty obvious stuff. So what that means is today I'm going to be cutting down these 20-foot long strips. I'm going to be cutting them down to the right size, and then I'm going to be slapping them on here and welding them to the very steel of the container. And then once it's welded, just a few spot welds to hold it in place. Not going to weld the whole seam. I'm not crazy. Then I'll caulk the seam. The rest of the way I'll caulk it. So shout out to whoever smashed the thumbs up. That does help the algorithm, so feel free to smack it. And that's it. So I got the trusted welder here, got the trusty welder. Thing is amazing. I should put a link in the description to it. I got it on Amazon. It's just great. Got all the equipment here, and that's it. So I just got to live stream the whole thing, and you can see what it's like to build a shipping container home live. So let me just double check. We're good. All right, sweet. So I'm going to start off by putting you guys on the tripod so that I can use my hands for other things, obviously. Live container home construction. So I'm going to put you, hey, what's up, Yolanda? Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chatting in. I just got to set this thing up here. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. Just going to put you here on the tripod. There we go. So yeah, that's the game plan for today. Hopefully it goes smoothly. You never know what the hell's going to happen when you're welding. And the last time I did something kind of, I'm sweating like a dog. The last time I did something kind of similar to what I'm about to do, there were some nuances that made it a lot more challenging than I thought it would be. Just give me a second here. I don't want this tripod to blow up. Almost done. There were some challenges that I wasn't. Namely, it's when I take the thin strip metal and I put it on the floor of the container. There's irregularities in the steel floor, and so that when I had to lay strips of steel on top of the roof to close that gap on top of the roof, I ended up having to hammer the metal because some parts of the strip steel would poke up too high, and the weld, you need to have a really thin gap to get a nice good weld. So I had to just like bang and bang and bang to get it down. So it was just like, ah. Cringy old bastard says, no need for a spirit level because the earth is F. Well, obviously, but well, we all know level means curved. Okay, level means curved. That's funny. That is funny stuff. I'm sitting here spending more time adjusting the tripod than I'm going to be spending welding this. Okay, almost good here. Hey, FE Viking, what's up, man? Good morning to you too. FE Viking up in the chat. Live container home. All right, here we go. Let's get rolling here. Okay. Freaking fall off 100 times. Okay, let's get going. Okay, so first things first, I need a tape measure. Where's the tape measure? Where's the tape measure? I think the tape measure is in the brand new 20-foot shipping container, aka the storage shed, aka the loading bay, the loading dock. The 20-footer, which arrived a few days ago. The whole logic behind getting the 20-footer is part of this whole thing I'm doing where I'm trying to buy as many of the materials for building the house as soon as possible because the cost of construction materials is skyrocketing. The cost of lumbers, I paid about $5,000 yesterday for all the lumber for the internal framing of the house. $5,000. Now, in normal times, that would have been half that, $2,500. The price of lumber is just crazy right now. So my whole thinking was I need to order the lumber now because I heard the prices are just going to keep skyrocketing. So I had to order the lumber now. But if I order the lumber before I start framing, where the hell am I going to put the lumber? I'm going to leave it out here in the rain. So I'm like, well, I am going to get a storage shed as a container one day. So why not buy the storage shed now, and then that could be used as a place to store all the lumber when it arrives. So I actually ordered all the drywall as well, because I don't know if the price of drywall is going up, but I'm not going to take a risk on that. Where was I? Tape measure. Anything else I need while I'm here? Tape measure. Oh, you know what? Let me grab this little marker thing. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but whatever. Little macro shot of the work in progress. Macro shot. So again, first thing I'm doing is I'm going to be doing some measurements so I know how long to cut the strips of steel. How long to cut the strips of steel. How long to cut the strips of steel. Which is going to be a bit of a nuanced kind of decision I need to make, because, well, we'll get into that now, won't we? We're about to get into that. I understand that a total noob live streaming himself, building a shipping container home could result in some pretty funny it fails. But that's also entertaining, right? So it can't hurt. Make sure I didn't miss anything in the chat or miss any super chats either. Tool belt is a must. I was thinking about tool belts. I think they're a great idea, but I think they might be a better idea. Well, they obviously are a better idea if you're like building houses all year, every year for the rest of your life. I might be able to tolerate the annoyance of constantly having to bend down to pick shit up because I'm only doing this one time building this house. So I'm going to skimp out on the tool belt for now. What about steel studs for framing? Yeah, I heard the price of those went up too. I don't know if that's true or not. A cringy old bastard says you could have cut down your own trees there and milled that. Yeah, I want to be done by July. I mean, I don't know how hard it is to harvest your own lumber from pine trees. Good old Florida pine trees, because boy, there are a lot of them. But I'm going to assume it would take, I would spend like 3 months doing that, not including whatever crazy tools you need to pull. I don't know. Actually, I'm just totally ignorant on that topic. Maybe it would have worked. Okay, so the question now is, where do I begin? Grab our tape measure again. So I don't know, that's a lot of times you just have to make arbitrary decisions on where you're going to start. For some reason, I've been compelled to start here. I don't know why. Maybe that's because the front door's here and want to start at the front. I don't know. As you can see, the last few days, I've been out here grinding down. Because when you cut out the container walls, they have a super thick weld right down here. It's so thick that with the angle grinder disc, it's easier to just avoid it. But then you have to come back with a grinder and grind it down. So it was pretty slow going. We had to grind down all of that. So, and technically up here too, but I'll probably only have to grind down where the rafters go. So that won't be as bad. So anyway, so this is the idea here. So now I have to make a decision, Am I gonna make sure that we're still looking good here. It has a sawmill. It's a lot of work, and I have a sawmill too. I figured. So that's the idea here. So we just want to cover this gap. And my question now, as I think about it, is do I want to put the metal all the way to the back? Or do I want to start here where the wall cutout began? Because technically this in here is going to be inside of the wall. So you'll never see this. It's going to be in the wall. And I'm going to come in and seal from underneath. I'm going to seal this gap from underneath. I'm thinking spray foam. Just get under there and throw some spray foam in here after I put the metal down. And I think that'll probably be a pretty good bug-proof seal because there ain't no water going to get down there. It's not going to come from under the house and then up. So I don't think leak through here is a problem. I think the real issue is just bugs and, air escapage. So I think, I think it probably doesn't matter. Other than that, I would maybe have to weld in there, but I don't think I'll have to weld in there. Because that would be harder to get to if I had to weld like into that nook. I'm not getting any complaints about the signal. Was the containers costly? Mine were not. I paid like $1,700 for them back in like September 2019. So, but nowadays I heard the cost of shipping containers has gone up pretty dramatically. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats or anything. Okay, good. So anyways, yeah, that's a good question. Let me look over here. Interesting. I don't know. I'm not really sure what to make of that. It's going to be inside the wall. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna make it extend all the way. So that's basically it. I gotta do something about these Shit. I gotta do something about these, don't I? Yeah, and I just remembered that I still have to do the grinding underneath these, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit of grinding here. But I'm gonna have to get rid of these. Now, these were used, my uncle was here, it was his first time here. He was helping out. We were doing some stuff on the roof and he came up with this idea here on the fly. And it really saved us because it gave us a little extra support after cutting out the walls while we were walking on top of the roof, doing some maintenance on the roof. The top rails of the container, when the walls cut out, the top rails as we walked on the roof were just like bouncing up and down, pretty wobbly. So we had to do some caulking and sealing up there. We didn't want that shit moving like crazy, tearing apart the seal. So my uncle came up with this on the fly. Just a little extra stability and support. And it definitely worked, but unfortunately it looks like it's gonna be in the way now, so I gotta think of something to do about this. I just came, how much does the container cost? I paid $1,700 for these 40-foot high cubes. This was in September 2019, before the price of shipping containers went up. I heard they went up. I don't know if that's verified or not. I paid $1,600 for a used 20-footer just a few days ago. So maybe that's an indicator. One tip that I would tell people is if you're going to buy a shipping container, see if you can find people who are in the trucking shipping business. That's where I bought these three, and a lot of people say it was a good price even in 2019. And I think that's true. And I think the reason he was able to give me a good price was because he doesn't specialize in selling containers. He just has a bunch lying around because he's in the business of shipping and transporting things on big trucks using containers. So it was like a side hustle for him. So I think he was able to sell it for a little bit cheaper. So maybe that's something to think about. I think it was really a side thing for him. He's like, oh yeah, I can make $500 off a container. Sure, here you go. Okay. All right. Well, I need to make a decision now about these things. I think a sledgehammer and a little bit of knocking will hopefully just move them over a little bit. I don't want to get rid of them because they're probably helping provide a little bit of support. I think if I put a sledge and I knock them, but all that's going to do is allow me to grind in the areas underneath it, but that's not going to allow me to lay out a 20-foot piece of steel. In fact, I don't even think I should lay the strip steel that I'm going to be putting this stuff right here, 1 inch wide by 1/8 inch thick. They come in 20-foot strips. I don't think I'm going to be laying them out in one giant piece because that would be probably a little weird as far as laying it in exactly the right spot, but also then welding it. So I might do it in like chunks of 3. Of course, that poses its own issue. Every time you cut it, you now have a new seam that needs to be welded or, covered up. So maybe I can do 2. Find out in a moment, but first I have to. I look like a freaking, that looked like some fucking entity. It looked like an entity in the background. Okay, so that's the thing. It's funny because if I did do it in pieces of 3, I might be able to fit them in here and just kind of knock these things back and forth a couple times. I am considering just getting them out altogether because I think the main issue is if somebody's walking on top, that's when you start to get that real wobbling. So I am considering just getting rid of them altogether. Square cut your 3/8 plate, 1/4 inch Stitch 3-inch wells at 24 inches on center. Create a A-frame brace. Interesting. And where are you located? I just got 7 acres trying to build it. Wow, 7 acres is pretty nice, bro. I'm in an area called Montura Ranches. It's in Florida. Anyways, so yeah, I got to think about what I'm going to do about these things. Let me lower the screen brightness here a little bit so I don't run out of batteries. I'm inside the container, so it's not like it's that hard to see the phone. Okay. Yeah. If I can keep them there, I prefer that. So maybe what I can do is I can just knock them around left and right. And just get them out of the way as I need them to get out of the way, but still keep them doing the support, because why not? Ultimately, the rafters, the roof rafters, are going to be supplying the support for these top rails. All right, so yeah, we'll see if they move. I don't know how easy they're going to move. I'm not sure they'll move that easy, to be honest, but we'll try. So the next question is simply a matter of how am I going to move them in relation to the pieces that I'm going to cut. So let me first do something here. Let me find out how long this whole span is. Put you guys on the tripod. Find out how long the whole span is. Find out how long the whole span is. You know, just roughly. Just roughly. Yeah, wow. Damn, a little over 22 feet maybe? Damn, that's great. I'd say a little over 22 feet actually. That's nuts. So even if I did a full 20-foot strip, it won't make it. Okay, so it's about 22 feet, let's say. So it's about 22 feet. So you know what? You know what? You know what? Yeah, you know, when you're gonna be welding and you're gonna be using a piece of strip steel to cover something up, you know, you want to be working with manageable pieces, right? You don't want to be working with them like 12-foot long, freaking bendy, freaking piece of steel. So I'm actually thinking that right now, these interval spaces between the wooden temporary support, these interval spaces here between the wooden temporary support, I'm thinking that this is roughly a good size to work with per piece. And so I think we're going to do that. And what that will allow me to do is it'll allow me to lay a piece down right up to here, weld that sucker in place, and then hopefully with a sledgehammer, kind of knock these things over a little bit so it's on top of the piece of steel and the new section is clear for me to work with, and then repeat it again and then finish it. I think that'll be okay. You got to think about where those two cuts of steel meet and how you're going to fix that. Generally speaking, they could probably just be welded together. 3 8-inch 3/8 plates. What's your flooring? Well, if you're talking about just what's the floor is the container floor. I'm going to epoxy seal it. And I'm going to see what that's like. If it looks all right and it feels all right, then I'll keep it. And if it ends up just being disgusting or failing horribly, then I'll just add a floor on top. And this container floor will basically be the subfloor of the house. So right now it's a floor. It could become the subfloor, we'll see. But that's why I'm doing everything I'm doing here today. I'm getting the floor ready for the epoxy seal. Since I'm going to be sealing over the seams as well, I'm going to be sealing right over the metal seams as well. I needed to finish that so then I could, do the whole seal. So, I think that's a plan. Let me do some sledgehammer testing. Actually, you know what? There's no point in testing. I'm going to have to do it either, whether I like it or not. So, I'm just going to go into the first cut. So, I'm going to start here. I'm going to start here. Just adjust the tripod real quick. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to start with this one. From all the way over here and roughly up to here. Pull that back a little bit. You guys can't see what I'm freaking doing. Yeah, so that's what I'll be doing first. Start over here. And over here, so let's get our measurement. Now this has to be a precise measurement. This has to be precise. Let's see here. So we're talking, yeah, I'd say it's a good 7 feet 3 inches. I'll do 7 feet 2 inches. Keep it shy a bit there. Yeah, that ought to work. 7 feet 2 inches. Gonna go all the way to the end. We'll weld that sucker there. And again, we're definitely at 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. Remember that. In case I forget, keep that in mind. 7 feet 2 inches. Singularity in the chat says, hey bro, looks like a good day for some construction. It's always a good day for construction. No, it's not. Certainly not in the middle of summer. But that being said, today is a good day for construction. I'm feeling it today. Some days you just don't feel it. You know, just like, you know, if you had to like go for a jog or something and you don't want to do it, you don't feel it that day. Like sometimes you just don't feel it. But that's life, isn't it? One thing I definitely don't feel is working 40 hours a week at a job I hate to pay off my mortgage. So that's definitely something I don't feel. This is generally interesting, fun, and it's actually a useful, enriching experience because I'm learning something about a pretty useful tool, which is how to build a house. Anyway, so 7 feet 2 inches, don't forget it. Hey, I think it's time to cut a piece. It's time to cut a piece. So let's do that. I guess I might as well just cut it right there. Yeah, I'll do it over there and then see the angle grinder disc. Okay, so let's go. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. Someone type it in the chat so I can go back and look at it. Quarius and Ban says amen and a women. Thank you for being inclusive. 7 feet 2 inches. Just trying to find a good spot to do the cutting. So I think probably face it this way so the light isn't blinding. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. All right. Let's get our angle grinder. Let me make sure that this is in shot for there we go. Now we're good. Yeah, so I'll just cut it over there and that'll be fine. All right. Okay. So angle grinder. It's one thing I need. I need a lot of things. Seven feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. Let's get this out of the way. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. Seven feet 2 inches. Angle disc right there. I need a piece of wood. I need a piece of wood or something to elevate. Fucking took all the wood out of here. Bastard. Bastard. I gotta go get a couple pieces of scrap lumber. It's in the container shed. I'll be right back. You know what? I might as well just take you guys with me. I mean, why the hell not? Show you guys my incredible collection of scrap wood. My incredible collection of scrap wood. You know what I was thinking? Hey, Julie Bennett, what's up? Glad you made it. You know, I have a bunch of scrap wood from when I was doing the foundation and from when I was doing the well pump house. Where is it? Back there. Yeah, the well pump house back there. Bunch of scrap wood, and I bought that, you know, early 2020. Prices were normal, I think. So I could sell this scrap wood. I could. It's crazy. I could sell this scrap wood for normal prices, and people would buy it just because it's so much cheaper than the gold. Anyways, I got a bunch of scrap wood here. This is like gold. At this point, this is like gold. The price of lumber, this is gold. I just need a couple pieces. Nothing big. Actually, I prefer something small like this. I have an incredible selection. 2 will work. The guy that I bought the shipping container from, very impressive wood, says Julie. He welded on one of these suckers, and basically when the door closes, this giant metal box, you put a little lock underneath in here. So it's very hard for somebody to come in with those lock cutters and just pop the lock on your shipping container and then get access to my incredible stockpile of wood and gold. I mean, unless they came in with an angle grinder and just chopped off the whole metal box, you know, a battery powered angle grinder. But you know, you'd be making a lot of freaking noise. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, here we go. Got some wood to elevate the steel so I don't cut the floor off. Singularity, I'm looking at steel C-tracks for internal wall partition instead of 2x4. Wood's gotten crazy with the C-scam hype. Oh, of course. Obviously. And, you know, that's the question. It's like, just kind of talking about this in my last stream. It's like, well, what really is the cause of the lumber price increase? One thing I was thinking was that the demand is finally catching up. I think a lot of people relocated after the health scare of 2020. The health scare of 2020. A lot of people relocated, a lot of people left the cities, a lot of people moved rurally, but they weren't able to do that right away. See, for me, I was just lucky enough that I was already planning this out before the health scare of 2020. I started plotting this out in April 2019. So I was able to begin construction kind of early into 2020, whereas most people were just freaking out and then suddenly realizing, I got to get the hell out of here. So I think that maybe now the demand is coming into actualization. Now they're actually starting to build the houses. It took people time to plan everything out, find some land, relocate, hire a company. That could be part of it. I mean, like I was saying in the last stream, there's a local lumber supplier out here, and she was telling me that there was a Canadian sawmill, a big supplier, that got shut down due to the health scare of 2020, and that was inhibiting supply. So who knows? You know, you could talk about it all day, but it's crazy right now, and it's just, I heard shipping containers costs are going up for their own reasons. It's all very strange. Anyways, let me plug this thing in. The health scare of 2020. I love it. The health scare of 2020. How dare you say that? 7 feet, 2 inches. 7 feet, 2 inches. Julie Bennett in this chat says maybe it's taken something like C to make people realize how over barrel they really are. I think that might have been a typo, but either way, not sure what you meant. Overburdened? Make people realize how crazy they are, how stupid they are. Anyways, all right, so let's plug her in. We're doing 7 feet, 2 inches. Over a barrel, that must be some UK British speak I'm not familiar with. Oh, gotcha. All right, let's take off the grinder attachment. Angle grinder. Let's take the grinder off. We need the angle cutting disc. Put that sucker in there. You always got to get it the right at the right stopping point like that. Pop that sucker out. Remove this, remove that. Grinder disc. We need the cutting disc. It's like a freaking tutorial on how to use a angle grinder. Angle grinder, cutting disc. Tighten that bitch down. Now, so that'll cut through this like butter, bro. Especially just 1/8 inch thick. Okay. All right. Oh yeah. You want to be careful with. You definitely want to be careful with that. Well, my uncle gave me that generator. He just gave it to me. I guess he didn't need it or something. So I'm sure it'll come in handy at some point. Okay. Where are we here? All right, I'm gonna give this a quick cut. Honestly, I don't think I need my gloves for this. It's so fast, but whatever. Just to be a little safe. Yeah, all right. So anyways, we're looking for 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. I'm gonna look over here real quick at something just to be double sure. We're gonna lay that thing down. 7 feet 2 inches. Drop her down, and then welding begins. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. Just got a knife here. Over a barrel. Oh, wow. Over a barrel. Get out of there, you bastard. Sorry, just cutting off these little things that were holding the 3 pieces of steel together. Just get rid of that. Oh, wow. There's another one. This one off. All right. Now we're free. So let's move those over. 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. So. 7 feet 2 inches. Yeah. That'll work. Okay. So, pretty straightforward. You just double check I haven't missed anything in the chat here. Singularity says possible. While white pill future, we all decentralize into self-sustaining neighborhood groups. Each group has the ability to manufacture anything, grow anything, and has all their energy needs. Oh God. Don't get me started on what the future holds, because it's gonna be a little weird. Face-to-Face Life says 2x4 costs almost double here in Virginia from last 2 months. $3.95, $7.95. It's crazy. I ordered all my lumber from Home Depot yesterday because after I tried local lumber suppliers, they were taking forever to get me a quote. I waited like a whole week for a quote. They never got back to me. It's like, bro, you understand how much the price of lumber can go up in a week? Are you crazy? Are you crazy just leaving me sitting here for a week? So I ended up just going with Home Depot because I heard that even local lumber suppliers, or maybe like the third party people who sell it after the lumber suppliers, basically Home Depot competitors, but they're not as big as Home Depot. I heard that they couldn't even match Home Depot prices. They couldn't get them that low. So I just went with Home Depot. There was a big circus. The order was like accidentally canceled and the system. So I got it resolved, but it's just crazy. Oh yeah, let me finish the chat here. Sorry about that. Hello. I was planning an 800 square foot home addition this summer. It says FE Viking. With the lumber cost skyrocketing, I'm putting it on hold. Yep, that's what I heard. Oh, okay. Oh, you have a cat. That's awesome. You're so lucky. Face to face with the cost of gas going up every day, I'm afraid everything else will increase in price. Right, and that's the thing. That's why I'm like, you know what? While I'm ordering the lumber, I'm just going to throw the drywall on top of the order. Because, you know, Home Depot is going to deliver it. So I figured, let me just throw the drywall. Wait, why won't drywall? Who's to say drywall won't skyrocket? And that's the last thing I want is some random inflation nonsense jacking up the cost to build this house. So, yeah. Julie has a cat. She's so lucky. I'm going crazy out here without a cat. You know, you just see cats like running by and just... It's just... I haven't had a cat since my last one died in 2014. So it's just... I really want a cat though. They're amazing creatures. There's nothing else to be said. Okay, anyway. All right, let's do it. 7 feet 2 inches. I think you guys have a good shot there, so let's give this a try here. 7 feet 2 inches. My marker at. I'd much rather use the black marker, but I don't think I have one. That's all right. We'll use this. So 7 feet 2 inches. I need to do this. I need to. Oh wow. Way past that. Way past that. There we go. go. 7 feet and 2 inches. 7 feet and 2 inches. Are we on there? I think we're on there. We're looking good. 7 feet. There's our cut. Angle. Yep. So digging about. Now it just has to be done. Okay, you guys should be able to see it. All right. You know, it's interesting because I don't even like wearing this face shield. Like, even this thing, it just gets hot inside of it. Even this, like, you're just like, oh my God, it's hot in here, and you take it off, and you're like, oh, it's not that bad anymore. So I don't care if it's a muzzle or a face shield. They're both bad in my book. Anyways, so 7 feet 2 inches. 7 feet 2 inches. Great. Now, let's just confirm how well it fits. Great. See how it fits. Perfect. Basically perfect. So, show you guys what it looks like here. Fell inside there. So, this is the idea here. The idea here is you have a gap between the two containers on the floor. 1 inch by 1/8 inch thick steel, and then you simply lay it on top. Just like that. Move this over, put it all the way up against here. All the way up against there. And then hope that it's properly situated the entire length. And it looks like it's gonna fit real well. So that's good. That's gonna work. That's gonna work just fine. His name is 50. Are you serious? 50. Face to Face says, I have a lot in Hudson, Florida, and plan to build something like this, so your channel is a great help. By the way, where are you building this home in Florida? I'm building in an area called Montura Ranches. It's just south of Lake Okeechobee, like 20 minutes south. Rural area. All right, so here we go. Next step. Oh, wow, great. Now what? What do you do? What's the next step? All right, look at this. Beautiful. So, the next step now is to, I think it's basically time to just weld it. So you guys get to see some live welding. It could be dangerous, and that's why, you got to be careful, and I've done a ton of, first of all, I've done hours and hours of welding already. So I think overall, I think I can do it safely. You just got to follow all your protocols and all that good stuff. So, hey Tom, good luck with the welding. Awesome project. Love watching the progress. Shout out from the Netherlands. Cool, man. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for chatting. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Okay, good. Right. All right, so now the thing is now that I have to be careful with is a lot of times you want to do some grinding just to clean the metal. So I'm probably going to have a few preordained spots where the welds are going to go, and I'll grind those out in advance, and I'll grind them out off of here as well. Because you'd be surprised, that's not just some nitpicky professional welder stuff. If the metal's not clean, a lot of times the welding wire will hit the steel, but no arc will be created and no weld will happen. So it really helps to have it cleaned. It really does. You got to have that bare metal showing so you can complete that circuit. I think that's how it works. Anyways, you don't have to be an electrical scientist to be a welder, but you do need to know some fundamentals about electricity and safety. And I bet the more you know, better off you are anyway. So, all right, because who even really knows what electricity is, right? Like what even is it? No one really knows, but you still use it. Anyways, it's like a wizard. Wizards will wield electricity out of their staff. Well, a welder is literally wielding. It's kind of funny, the words like weld, wield, like a wizard, wield. You're literally, when you're welding, you're wielding electricity. It's crazy because electricity, it's that electrical current is actually what's causing the high temperatures and causes the thing to melt. It's almost like being a wizard or something. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. So, let me put you guys back on the tripod here. Make sure I got you guys in a good shot. Did a super chat come in? I think a super chat. A super chat. Tom Yearlings, 10, is that euros? 10 euros, super chat. Let me make sure there wasn't a comment added with it. No, I think it was, you know what, Tom? You're amazing. Thank you so much. Do appreciate the super chat. Energy taken from the ether. Probably. That's probably how wizards did it. Okay. Yeah, big shout out to Tom. And hopefully he'll enjoy some of this welding that's about to take place. So, hello Green Sage, thanks for tuning in, chiming in. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of finagle with it a little bit. Make sure that I have it in the right spot. And then once it's in the right spot, I'll go ahead and I'll do the little grinding to yeah. I'll put it over here. So, okay. Sorry, I'm just setting up the camera. All right, so let me see what the final resting spot is going to be for this. Final resting spot. Is this the side I cut? I think so. Yeah, okay. So, you know what, we'll put this one over here, since that's the side I cut. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna lay it here, right in the middle, just like that. Just like that. And I'm gonna try to put it so it's right where it needs to be. Should do it. That's looking really, it's looking great. Because, originally I was thinking a 2-inch steel, but this 1-inch will probably work too. And it really is fitting. I have to go and measure because the gaps between the containers sort of fluctuates at certain points. This is one of the widest ones, but the 1-inch steel looks like it's going to work just fine here. So, what I don't want to do is I don't want to weld one side, but then the piece of steel is slightly off, and then when I come to weld over here, it's not covering the gap. So I got to make sure that it's nice and where it needs to be. So let's check this side. This is looking great over here too. In fact, let me take my gloves off. Gloves are great, but the tactileness of your fingers is really reduced when you have gloves on. It's unfortunate. This side's looking pretty amazing as well. Now, we're getting one problem. Slight unevenness on the containers. That's a big gap. That's going to be too hard to bridge with the welder. Now, if I put it like this, we'd have no problem. But now we create a bit of a tripping hazard because this thing is now angled upwards on one side. I don't want that. Because another inconsistency is that these rails where the two containers meet, sometimes there's just, I think it's because the containers might have been slightly twisted or crooked. I don't think it's because the foundation is off. I think it's because especially the middle container is like the worst. It's kind of crooked, so sometimes the floor will, right here, you'll see that on one side it's slightly higher than the other. Slightly, not a lot, but slightly. So then that causes, when I put the strip of steel on top, it's like crooked, like sticking out on one side and flat on the other, because it's on an uneven surface. Overall, that's not the end of the world, but when there's two issues. When it's slightly angled up because it's on an uneven surface, the side that's pointing up, it's too big of a gap for the welder to get a good weld. But also, it's sticking up, so it causes a bit of a tripping hazard on the floor as you walk around. So it's not anything crazy, but I'll have to kind of think about this for a second. I have to think about this for just a little bit. The best solution might be to cut it because the floor is uneven over there, but it's not uneven here. So I might just cut the piece of metal strip, cut it in half, so I can have that one conform to the unevenness there, and this one can conform to the flushness here. I don't want to make the whole thing suffer because of a bit of an error over there. So I might cut this sucker in half. Now that creates its own challenges, of course. That's interesting. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, cementing the container floor, says green sage. That's crazy. Definitely never heard of that. Definitely never heard of that. All right. So, let me see something here. Yeah, I mean, look at that. That's insane. I mean, there's no way I'm going to bridge that gap with a welder. No way. I'm going to have to hold it. I'm going to have to put it slightly tilted. There's just no way I'm going to have to do that. So, slightly tilted like that. And then I'm just going to have to cut this in half. I'm gonna have to cut this to make my life easier. We'll weld it like that here. Just like that. Oh my God, that looks pretty bad too, to be honest. That looks pretty bad too, I'm gonna be honest. Wish I could read the chat from here. So, yeah, It's pretty freaking even around here. It's just really crooked here. Pretty bad, it gets better. And then it just gets better most of the way. So I think it just needs to be a slightly bigger piece. Let's see. What I'm thinking is, it's right there. Right on the edge. Just like that. And then it'll have to be tilted. Unless I can grind this down more. Make it a little better. I could do that actually. I could grind that little piece down a little bit more. I hope this is very entertaining as I sit here in silence contemplating. I don't think that's going to fix it. Actually, I don't think it's gonna see, that looks okay. We can work with that. We can work with this here. That's totally cool. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a small piece right here. Yeah. All right. This is what I was kind of concerned about. It's not that big a deal, but it takes a little more nuance, but it's not as easy as just laying it down and going for it. But that's okay. That's all right. So what we're going to do is, that was a problem, and it starts to get better around here, so we're going to cut right here. I'm going to cut it right around. Problem, better, a lot better. And then we'll just, actually, you know what? So I'm going to do welding there. I'm going to actually cut right in the middle. Sure, why not? We'll do the cut right here. All right, let's do it. Let's do this. So now, with this smaller piece, I now have a more independent piece that can now conform to the irregularities of the floor over here and can be independent, and then this one over here can do its thing on the rest. So I think that is the smartest solution. At least the smartest solution off the top of my head. Without spending 20 years thinking about it, that is. Verendils says it is hot inside in February. Can't imagine summer. Yeah, well, I mean, last summer we were doing the foundation. And, you know, part of you might be like, oh, but you know, you're you know, in a container, at least you're, you know, out of the sun, you're in the shade. But of course it's made out of metal, so it's like an oven. Oh, shipping containers are poor insulators. Oh, shipping container homes are a hoax, they're a scam. Well, every house needs insulation. So I guess effectively, every type of home building material is a poor insulator. If it was a good insulator, maybe you wouldn't have to insulate it. So I have to put the same kind of insulation in a steel home that I have to put in a traditional home? Okay, so that's not really a negative, is it? Okay. All right, so now let me finagle with that piece, make sure that independently it feels like it'll fit right on the floor. Yeah. And then we'll move from there. So here we are. Now this one can do whatever it wants without affecting the other piece. It can be weird, it can be wonky, it can be crooked. That's fine. And this is going to sit real nice on here, just like that. So what that means now is, I got to get my grinder. I need water, that's what I do. Let's use the flat disc. Use the flat disc. And the other extension cord. Yep. Got 2 angle grinders, so one is going to be the dedicated cutting, the other is going to be dedicated grinding or polishing. I'm not really sure what you call the difference between a flat disc wheel and a grinder wheel. This will take off the rust and the mill scale in preparation for welding. Put that on there. Preparation for welding. For welding. Tighten that bitch down. Yeah. Plug her in. I actually haven't used this one, so. Right? Yeah. Now, I want you guys to have a decent damn shot of this, so I have an idea here. I'm not going to have you guys sitting over there 8 feet away the whole time. All right. Okay, so. I want to say shout out to everybody who's watching, everybody who's hit the thumbs up, everybody who's chatted, and everybody who's super chatted. Thanks again to Tom. All right, let's put this sucker down. So now you guys have a really decent shot of what's happening here. Well, maybe not the best shot, but better than before, I would say. So the idea is simply, yeah. Okay. Put the gloves on for the hell of it. Just, so I can be special and safe. All right. What do we got here? Okay, so now the thing is, preparing for welding. So if you guys take a look here, this is our piece of 1 inch wide by 1/8 of an inch thick steel, really nice. Here you have a gap between the containers. You throw it on top and you cover the gap. The idea here is, I'm not going to weld the whole length, creating a perfectly weld-tight, weld-sealed metal seal. It would take 700 years to do that. I'm not doing it. I'm going to put a few spot welds every, I don't know, whatever, 2 feet or something. And that'll hold this sucker in place. It ain't going to go nowhere. And then the rest of the way, on both sides, I'm going to caulk with a transparent caulk all along to seal it. But underneath the container home, in between the gap, I'm probably going to spray foam underneath as well. So I mean, just nothing's going to get through there. So that's the idea. And got to find my final welding spot. What is going to be the final location for this sucker? Because I already know where I'm going to be doing the grinding to get it prepared for welding. I already know what I'm doing. Because that's rough. You just come in with this thing and you kind of polish a big area. So that doesn't require precision. I just want to kind of look at this closely again. Because one thing I don't want is, I don't want to do this piece like crooked, and then it's going to be a really weird when I get the other piece and butt it up against this one. I don't want it to be like weird angles or some crazy shit. So that's looking pretty good. It's going to be right up against there. It's going to be like that. It's going to be at an angle, unfortunately, but that's going to be required because of how uneven this shit is. And then this is going to be here. So just want to put that like right there. Yeah, that one's just about right. And then this one will be just about right. So I think that's basically going to be where it goes. I'll probably have to do some hammering right after some welding, or maybe get like a little like a flamethrower thing and apply some heat, and maybe once it softens the metal, hammer it down, because like I said, the floor is uneven, so the flat bar is uneven, and I might have to hammer that part that sticks up, kind of hammer it down a little bit so it's not like sticking out weirdly. Tripping hazard, let alone just being weird. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and polish this up in preparation for welding. The question is, what is going to be my welding interval? How far away am I? So I'm thinking, honestly, I probably don't have to do both sides. Actually, last time I was on the roof, that was kind of posing issues. I'll probably weld both sides. Just zap here, here, and here, here, and here. I'm not trying to make my life too hard here by over welding it. So I think I'll skip. Actually, no, I don't think that's a good idea to skip. I'll probably just have to weld every little thing. Okay, so that looks good to me. Okay, so let's Let's polish this sucker. Gloves, face shield. This thing comes with this handle. I've actually gotten used to not using this stupid handle, so I am just going to remove the handle. I actually don't like this. It feels weird to me. Ah, here we go. So basically just removing rust and mill scale from the very edges where the welds are gonna go. You can see that nice clean metal shining through. And then you just drop it right here. Oh God. Just drop it right here. Okay. Oh. I dropped it right through the damn thing. It's under the house. It's not fun. See, that's the good thing about having a really big crawl space. I can basically walk under the house standing up. I'm gonna go get that piece that just fell through. I'll be right back. Oh, God. Oh, and thank you, Julie, for the super chat. I'll be right back. Thanks, Julie. Appreciate it. You're awesome. Okay. All right, Julie, take care of yourself. See you later. Sweet. All right. So let's get back to this. So again, so here we go. We have our metal polished, ready for welding, right where it needs to go. The welding is going to be around here. Put it right here. And yeah, so that's basically it. So that's going to look great there. So that'll land perfect. So we'll put that there, just like that. We're going to come here now. We're going to polish this. You know, I don't know if I'm going to do a weld every foot. I was thinking of doing it every 2 feet, but for now I'm just going to prepare it as if I would, just in case. Okay, sweet. So, to me. You know, I wonder if that was partially causing my issue here. I wonder if that was partially causing it. That weird little thing there. This is a lot more interesting in time lapse, isn't it, guys? It doesn't look as bad now, to be honest. But no, actually, I don't think that was related. So anyways, there it is. That looks really freaking good to me. That looks like a great spot. So that'll weld just fine. Might have to hammer this sucker down with some heat. Wow, look at that. That's gonna be a fun, nice weld. It's not gonna give me too much of a problem. That's gonna go on there just nice. That is a little bit of a different story, but I don't think it's too bad. Might have to grind that out though first, because yeah. It might be smarter in the end to just do this in smaller pieces, to be honest. Because of the variations on the floor, man. Gotta tell you, it makes it a little more challenging. Anyways, so. It's gonna be fine. This is looking a little strange, actually. That is about it right there. This side, maybe we'll just be able to hammer the hell out of it down or something. If I had like a freaking blowtorch type of deal, it would be just apply some heat fire right onto this, and then while the metal is soft, hammer it into, because it's just, you know, it's a little bit wonky. It's like, you know, if I put it nice and flush over here, I'm getting some not so, it's kind of, so. I tend to overthink these things, so, you know, I should probably just shut up and just weld it here, but it's not the way I do things, so. I think about all the details. So that it looks good here, and then here it's a little strange, and then here it's not too bad. But it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to, the priority here is to put it in a spot where it's landing here for every single freaking one of them. That's it. That's my priority. Okay. I think it's just gonna have to be like that now. You know, honestly, like, yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to weld every single one. Every single one. That I can say confidently right now. Okay, that's not looking too bad. All right. Oh, I gotta put on that welding leather jacket on soon, and it gets really hot in that thing. All right. So what I'm thinking I'll do is, while I'm already here, I'll also polish away some of the areas because it's not landing exactly on that thing. So let me do that. I'm just going to clean up some of the surrounding area here because it looks like the piece of strip steel is not going to land exactly on top of this recently grinded corrugated wall outline. This zigzag lines you see, those are nice and shiny, clean metal, ready for welding because I just cut those out. I just grinded those down the other day. But then the areas right next to the zigzagging lines, I haven't touched it with a grinder, so it's still covered in like paint and other stuff. So it looks like some of my welding is gonna have to go onto the general surface of the metal. So I'm gonna kind of do some just general polishing here. That'll take a second. Okay. All right. So, make sure I didn't miss any chat there. Okay, good. All right. Now, we get closer to welding now. All right, now let's take a look again at our beautiful flat bar here. There we go, looks good. Dropped it down the hole again. That's just gonna happen 100 times today, isn't it? I'll be right back. Okay. I'm gonna do it here first and then hammer that one down. I don't know. This might be the way I do it, to be honest. Put it right there and then. Why does that look so much better now? Anyways. So what I'm thinking is, since that's the weird one, I should force that to conform to this. I think I'm going to start the weld on this side. Because over here is where the floor of the container is the most offset and uneven. So the flatter this was, the easier that this bar would just lay nice and flat and no problem. The biggest error is on this end over here, and then it starts to level out over here. So I'm thinking I'm going to start the weld over here on the more correct side, weld here, and then this last one is going to be, I'm going to probably hammer the hell out of this. Yeah. I don't think I have that blowtorch with me here. But one interesting thing is when you do a weld, it applies so much heat that you have a little window there to give it a good smack, and the steel will be a little bit soft for you to hit it, because it might need a little banging to get correct. But I don't see why I should make this piece of metal be defined by the erroneous part and not defined by the better part. Just doesn't make sense. Plus, part of this is going to be hidden behind a wall, so it doesn't matter that much. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We've grinded it down, we've cleaned the metal, it's basically ready for welding. Now it's time for welding. And that's its own fucking procedure. So, all right, so we put you guys on the tripod. At the moment out here, I'm getting the power for the welder through a generator. So I got to go start the generator. So you got to give me a second here to start the generator. And then once you turn the generator on, which is gasoline powered, then you connect the welder, and then you go and you weld. So I need to, okay. So let's go get the generator. Well, let's go get the generator. So let's go. We're going to get the generator. We're going to pull her out. She's currently underneath the container. Shit. If the generator was inside the container, I would end the live stream, because they would just be non-stop crazy noise. Just gonna roll her over there a little bit. Generators are very heavy, psychotically heavy. Very heavy. Very heavy. Look at the GoPro. It's supplementary footage. basically empty. This thing's basically empty. I don't know how long 2 gallons of gas will get me, but it'll get me like an hour and a half of welding, maybe 2 hours. Yeah. Stupid ass things just leak freaking gasoline everywhere. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Generator here is going to give me the power that I need to power the welder. This thing's going to make a lot of noise. It's probably going to echo through the container. So, I might not really be able to explain to you guys what the hell I'm doing, but you'll definitely see me welding. So, let me get that ball rolling. We'll start with the you can see now. Hello from Ireland, the Garden Sage. Hello, welcome, thank you for tuning in. Double check, make sure I didn't miss any super chats. All right, we're good. Okay, so where are we? Oh, that's weird. It doesn't matter. Oh, that's because I'm standing. Okay. Here we go. We're gonna plug that sucker in. Huh, how do I screw that up? How did I screw that up? It's facing the wrong way here. Yeah, that's a weird sound. That's a weird sound. Okay. Plug that in. All right. Plugged her in. There's our welder. He's really great. And I'm gonna go ahead and turn this thing on. And hopefully within a few minutes, I am gonna be welding. And on. Put this on choke. Choke. Oh, don't forget the gasoline. And let's try. Safety first when welding. Welding is not a game. It can be very dangerous. You can burn yourself, you can electrocute yourself. So safety first when it comes to welding, always. So really, it can be very dangerous. girl Saint-sational. Hello, hello, hello. All right. So. Setting up the tripod, bear with me. Okay, I think we're good now. I think we're good. All right. to find the best place to put the ground. I think I found it. I think I found the best place to put the ground. So this is the area I'm working on, welding this piece of metal onto here to cover the gap. That's going to go there, and then just past it, right here, the ground, there's just enough space in the gap to stick the ground in, clamp it on nice and good. Hoping it'll be clean. I'm going to go and grind away some of that real quick. And I think it should do the job. Little piece of crap thing. It's just so, this thing sucks. Yeah. There we go. Okay. Okay. Well, I want to say shout out again to everybody who's watching, everybody who's in the chat, everybody who's super chatted. All right. Okay, let's see if this works. Do some initial tack welds just to kind of hold it in position so it doesn't move. And then I'll go in for the real weld. So let me just make sure I got this sucker in a really good spot. That looks phenomenal right there. That looks really good. I'd say that looks great. I like this spot right here. So let's see if I can get some tack welds in. Well, once again, welding can be very dangerous. You've got to be careful. If you don't know what you're doing, hire a welder. It can be very dangerous. All right. This is always the most annoying part. You know, you got to get that piece of metal exactly where you want it, but you know, it has a tendency to like bow up and down. But once I tack weld it, you know, it'll be a lot smoother. But I don't want to tack weld it to the wrong spot. That would be counterproductive, to say the least, right? All right. it did not connect. Mainly because, well, there's a couple reasons for it, but give me a second. That looks pretty decent to me. So it looks like it'll blow right through the 1/8 inch thick metal because it's so thin. So I'll have to direct most of the gun angle. I'll have to direct most of it onto the actual surrounding metal and only let the very tip of the pool nip the extra metal. First, I have to reposition myself and clean this spark off. Okay, I think it's more or less got a little bit of attack there, so let me keep going. Trying to weld with one hand here because I got the other hand trying to hold a piece of metal in place. So I missed the actual buffered area. I don't have to hold it with the other hand. This one tack weld I think is going to do it. So let me actually get both hands in so I'm a lot more steady. Alright, let me show you guys what I did here. Slow going. Okay, let me show you guys what I did. So, you know, whatever. Couple tack welds, just temporary to hold it in place. I think it'll get the job done. One, and I got another one right there. So that'll hold it. I'll do another one over there just to be safe. Because what I noticed when I was doing other welding was sometimes you start to weld here and the heat can cause warping and lifting, and you might, I don't know, so just to be safe. So I'm going to do a quick tack weld over here, and then I'm going to go ahead and start doing the actual welds. Look at the size of that freaking gap. It's just insane. I'm gonna have to hammer that thing down. Anyways, okay, we'll work on that in a second. All of this, that's not looking as good as I thought it would. It's not. I don't think that's the end of the world. I'm gonna have to hold that over something. Okay. All right. it looks good. Looks like the settings are right. I'm gonna go ahead and do a full weld now. So I'm gonna come back over here and do an actual full weld right here. Now I can use both hands, thank God. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this. Let's just do it. Let's just freaking do it. Let's just go. Now I don't have to do really long welds because this isn't structural. This is just to hold this thing so it never moves. So I'm not trying to spend 10 years here. 1 inch long weld on either side of the flat bar, and I think we'll be good with that. Here we go. Here we go. We're going to target right there. Hopefully that's enough to hit both. And then we'll go. Let's go for about an inch. Right there. Not sure that was the prettiest weld. Let's take a look. No, that's not too bad. I don't think that came out too bad. Let me show you guys. Let me show you guys. I don't think that was that bad. I think that just about hit where I needed it to. I think that's about right. Hello, Midwest Container Home. No, it is not the Harbor Freight. It is not the Harbor Freight. So, I think that looks pretty good. You know, I could always go back with the grinder, maybe polish off some of the rough edges to make it look a little nicer, as it's going to be visible. It's going to be visible. It's going to be part of the final house. This is going to be floor. So, other than that, I think it looks okay. Felt the welder felt a bit splattery, a bit erratic. Might mess with the dials a little bit. Flux core, which is the kind of welding I'm doing, flux core, it's naturally messier. There's going to be naturally more splatter, but this didn't just seem like the splatter that's left over after a weld. This seemed like the very feeding of the wire. It felt like there was a bit too much popping on and off. Pretty decent settings, but I might have to tweak them a little bit. So that's the essence of it. I don't want to keep you guys here with that generator on in the background, just blaring noise nonstop. I do want to say thank you for watching, tuning into this live stream. I'm going to pull out the GoPro, get some other additional footage of what I'm going to be doing here the rest of the day for the actual edited episode that I'm going to release later on. So, but anyways, I want to say thanks for everybody for tuning in to this container home live construction live stream. This is what I'll be doing the rest of the day. Thanking everybody who commented, hit the like. Thank you to Tom and Julie for smacking the super chat. That's it. So I'll see you guys soon. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these live streams. So hit the bell icon if you want so you're notified when I go live. All right, everybody. Thank you.